In this video, I'm going to compare a $400 overhaul to a $1,000 overhaul. My name is Scott Reed, and welcome to Scott's Music Cave. This could be the whole video. That's the $400 overhaul. That's the $1,000 overhaul. I'm sure you can hear a big difference. One just sort of has the sound of the pads hitting the tone holes. One, you hear a nice thunk and a nice ring. This saxophone was overhauled by me. It's one of my personal horns, and it's been done for probably 4 years, maybe a little longer, and it's been really reliable. I hardly ever have to do anything to it because the key works tight, the pad works really good, and the adjustment materials are done well. And I spent a ton of time making sure this saxophone was perfect when it was done. Let's move on to the $400 overhaul. That's what I kind of want to focus on. So let's just start at the top with the neck to body connection. And if you look at that movement, hopefully you can see that, but it's got a ton of movement. This neck connection is leaking, no doubt about it. So just from the start, after the neck pad, you have a big leak. Already you have a huge leak that's going to affect the entire instrument. The saxophone didn't get any key play removed, so they just took it apart, cleaned it, threw pads in it, threw on their adjustment material and bumper corks, and threw in the pads and heated it up, clamped it, called it a day. If you look at key play, I'll just show you some of the big keys that have play. Hopefully that shows up okay. Try to hold the saxophone still, but see hopefully you can see how much that side key moves. They're both pretty bad. And the bell keys are really bad too. A lot of movement. So when you get that pad level, assuming these pads are level, which they're not, if you have the pad really level and nice, well, with that key play, eventually that key's just going to move around a little bit, and so what was perfect is now in a different spot, and it's leaking. And it'll always be like that. And if you do ever take that key play out, well, now your pad is not going to be in the right spot. You probably have to replace the pad after you take out key play out. The key heights are weird. The saxophone does not play very well, so it's hard to assess too much on it, but the palm keys are really low, so it's, if you can see that F key, it's hardly opening. And the E flat's a little, looks low to me. Without it being a really good adjustment, it's hard to assess too much. There is a little bit of lost motion here and there. You can see, I don't know if you can see that B key, it's just got a little bit of play before it actually engages with the C sharp key. The keys are sluggish. Well, the A key is sluggish. G key feels sluggish. If you look at the F key, there's a lot of lost motion before it hits the B key, which tells me in most cases that usually means either the lower stack is too high or the upper stack is too low, because most cases when those are balanced right, when the key heights are right in the upper and the key heights are right in the lower, you usually don't have that lost motion there. So that's kind of just a quick rundown of the mechanical side of it before we get to the pad work. The pad work, they put just a little bit of glue, hot melt glue, in the middle of the pad, installed the pad, and then clamped it, and then probably, hopefully, at least tried to level with bending pad cups, which typically I don't do unless something's obviously bent, and then I'll bend it back, straighten it. But I'm gonna go ahead and just pull a pad off and just show you what I'm dealing with, because I already pulled this pad off, and so So I marked the pad with just a pin so I know right where that pad came out. And so if you look at that pad, you can see there's a lot of glue in the middle, but nothing really on the outside overall. So the outside, of course, is where the pad seat is and where it's hitting the tone hole. And if there's no glue on the outside, that patch is going to flex around, and I mean, you're going to clamp it. Maybe it'll compress and look good. Maybe it'll look okay. But in a month or a week or a couple days, it's going to decompress and no longer seat well. And that comes in the shop for me to adjust, and I see something like this, and I kind of know who did this work actually, so it's not uncommon in this area. But I know that I'm not going to be able to heat that pad up, move it to where it needs towards level, and then it's going to stay where it needs to stay because there's no glue there, so it's just going to flex around. So to do this horn right, I would have to take all the pads out, add glue, and then, I mean, really the key plate needs to come out too, but I mean, the least I could do is add glue to all these pads and then get them to re-level them. This is a Kuznon alto saxophone, and these are really fun, nice sounding saxophones. So it's unfortunate that this one, they spent some money on it, and they're going to have to spend a lot more money on it to get it to where it's playing, where it needs to be, to where it's playing well. I think I'm going to conclude the video there. I know I didn't get too far into the weeds on this one, but I think that kind of shows you a big difference between what a cheap overhaul looks like and what an expensive overhaul looks like. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't mind, please like, subscribe. It does help the channel. It has helped. The channel's growing really nicely, so I do appreciate all the help and support from everybody. My name is Scott Reed. I'm a woodwind repair technician. I play music professionally. I buy, sell, trade, and collect musical instruments. And now I have a YouTube channel.